I'm commuting this week on a Brompton electric bike. I thought I would share with you my new commute now that I'm working here in Bristol. And so I'm commuting this week on a Brompton electric bike that Brompton have loaned me for the next month. And so that's what I'm riding here. And I just thought I'd show you my commute as it is now, which is just basically the most obvious way to get to my office in the centre of Bristol. I'll do an update for you in a few months once I perfect this. There's some things I don't really enjoy about this route, so I'll probably be changing it a little bit, and you'll see why towards the end. But at the beginning, I start off on this lovely Bath to Bristol rail trail path, and if you want to see more of this path, it's a 25k long path between the two towns. I've done a video on that. I'll link that below and above there for you so you can watch that. But as you can see, it is a lovely place to cycle. It's a little bit narrow for how busy it is during rush hour, but it's just very popular and it's shared with pedestrians, which makes it a little bit hairy at times, so you just have to ride at sensible speeds. And some pedestrians walk as if they're on a country road towards you on your side. Some walk as traffic flows, so you just have to be careful because everyone does their own thing, and then there's children involved, as you'll see here. So it'd be nice if there was a segregated walking area, but some of the path here doesn't actually allow for any more space. So we're lucky to have it, I guess, and we just need to respect each other. So my commute is only 3.5k, which is a bit of a downside to me because the reason I commute is for fitness. And so probably I'll have to take the long way to work or do some training rides in the morning to keep my training up or move further out. So yeah, there's a downside to having short commutes for me. But as you can see, or maybe you can't tell from this, but I wear normal clothes on my commute because it is so short. I barely break a sweat, and on the way into work it's almost all downhill, so very convenient. As you can see, as I'm going along, the surface is quite good in most bits of this path. Occasionally there are some roots from the trees that make some really nasty bumps, but overall the surface on this route is really nice. On the bike path anyway. You'll see the road's not so great in a minute. So there are some areas I think they could widen. I think they could get away with making it wider. It'd be nice to see that in the coming years happen. It is a very used route. It's thousands of people every day are using this route, so it is justifiable to spend money on it. This is one of my least favorite bits of it. So it's the only area where the sidewalk or the pavement is separate for the pedestrians and the cyclists. But you've got those bollards coming in and out of the underpass, and I just don't understand the point of them. It doesn't stop motorbikes from getting on the path, so it just causes a problem for cyclists, and it's quite dangerous if you ask me, and only allows for one bike at a time to fit through. If anyone knows the point of them or wants to guess, put it in the comments below. So this is the end of the actual path. Most of my commute, I'd say about 90% of it, is on traffic-free routes. I'm just about to come out onto the only section of my commute that is actually shared with traffic. Though this will change as I adjust my commute and perfect it. There's some areas of conflict I don't like further into my commute, and I'd rather just be on the road. I don't have any problem with riding with traffic. It's something I'm quite used to, having ridden many miles that way. Yes, and everyone, this is a shared pavement. You can see the sign, so I am permitted to cycle up onto this pavement. It's part of the cycling route. And then I continue out onto this road in the bus lane, and which is great because it allows me to jump ahead of the stationary traffic, which can be quite bad on this particular road, although today, the luck of the GoPro, it was pretty good. and the surface is pretty rubbish on this road. They just recently paved in the actual holes, so it's not smooth, but at least it's not actually really dangerous anymore. So that's why I ride quite far to the right in this road to avoid the worst of it. And this little chute here allows for the buses to merge into the traffic. So as the sensor senses you coming, it turns green normally. But because I've missed the light, I'm now looking back just to see if anyone's coming up behind me, because I'm no longer in the light sensing part of the road. Luckily there was someone coming up behind me, so yeah. I guess this makes sense, because if there was a lot of traffic, the buses would struggle to get back out when the lane ends. So yeah, it's an interesting feature. And then continue down this road, which, as I said, is in pretty rough condition. So I do ride quite primary position along this road. And there's actually no reason to ride in the gutter. I mean, the gutter's in rough condition, but even not on an e-bike, this is downhill, it's pretty easy to keep up with the flow of traffic, and if somebody wants to pass me, the lane on the right has to be empty, and it almost never is. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable riding in that way. But one thing I realized watching this video back is when I'm in the advanced bike box here, I think I'm going to start moving further to the right, because what happens regularly is that the car behind me will go around me and then cut me off when they take the left exit as soon as they pass me. So instead of holding back and taking the exit when it's their turn, they cut me off, and I find it dangerous and highly irritating. So I think I'm gonna, after watching this, realize that I should move further right so I'm directly in front of that car and take a more primary position as I come off the lights. And then that is pretty much the end of my sharing the road with cars. So this bit here is normally quite backed up, but luckily today you guys don't have to sit in traffic watching traffic with me, and I was able to come through. And then this is Castle Park, where the cycling track is, in my mind, a bit too blended with the walking path on the left. So I think there needs to be more of a physical barrier, maybe a height difference, and definitely at the least a paint color difference, sort of like the red you see in the Netherlands. I think Bristol is way too keen on blending and making things look pretty rather than actual functional bike paths that don't cause conflict. There's a lot of conflict. There's also a lot of shared space in Bristol, which I try to avoid, but sometimes the shared space is the quickest way, because you can cut through an area that potentially also cuts off a hill. So I do use some shared spaces in Bristol, but when it's an actual cycling track and they're blending it, I find that really kind of irritating. And then this junction here is an interesting one. I'm not sure about the lights. I think there's room for improvement on this junction with the lights. What happens is you get the light where there's nothing coming straight, which would go across us here, and the cars are just turning to go into the downtown. And if they change the lighting signals, I think they could allow for the bikes to go sooner. And what happens is, and you'll see the pedestrians get fed up with waiting and they all start crossing. And usually the cyclists get fed up with waiting too, because nothing's coming straight across after a while. So here we are on the new cycle track, which a lot of the time is being dug up or is parked in, annoyingly. But there are many reasons why I don't think this is my best route into my office. So I'm looking to avoid this cycle track in future. And so along here is all great. It is a little narrow again for how busy it is, and there's bollards in it when you get to junctions. Again, I'm not a big fan of bollards in cycling tracks. All it takes is a larger person in front of you that you try to pass, that you can't see it, and you could easily hurt yourself. So I'm not a big fan of that. Also think it should be painted a different color, because cars I've seen, I know it's what the bollards for, is the cars, but they manage to get on it anyway, and they park in it and all sorts. So I'd like to see it painted a different color, but this is one of the main reasons why I'm avoiding it. This junction here, it's green for the cars to go straight and turn, so the cyclists have to wait. It's quite a long wait, so I don't know if they could improve it by maybe not allowing the cars to turn left through the whole cycle of it. But in reality, I'd be better off in the road. I wouldn't get stuck for so long, and it's longer for the pedestrians to wait than it is the cycle for the cars. So I don't know what the fair thing to do is here, but it's a bit frustrating. And most cyclists just give up waiting because they check, no cars are turning, and they go straight. And I also wonder what the thought is behind having a light on the side of the post that you can't see until you arrive at the junction. So you wouldn't do that for a car at an intersection. You can see the light, what it is, quite far back. I'd like to see a light on the other side of the post as well, so we can see in advance what's going on. And this road here is just buses only, so everyone makes sure that it's clear and we go, because you're talking about 1, 2, and a third one here and a fourth one. I have 4 lights to get through within literally 50 meters, so again, that's why I'm looking to change this part of my commute. I find it really inefficient, and there's a lot of conflict in this bit here with the pedestrians. Unfortunately, in this particular video, it's a bad example because all the pedestrians are being good and they're staying over on the right there across the road. You can see they're all staying on their side of the crossing, whereas normally they're all over the place. They're, around the bikes. They're on the other side where you're cycling to, and it's just a big mashup. So everyone was very well organized today for this video, so it doesn't show as bad as it can be. But also you can see on the other side of the road that cycling track. Bristol likes to, camouflage their cycling tracks. They're more concerned about it looking pretty. I don't know, but it's a huge area of conflict around here in this part of town because they're so blended that pedestrians don't have a clue they've stepped into a cycling track because it's so unobvious. There's a little silver bike you can see in the ground there occasionally. And that's all that's there to indicate that's a cycling track, and you just get people wandering in and out of it quite unaware. So I think it's just designed to have unnecessary conflict. It could be eliminated quite easily just changing the color of the track. I'd like to see literally a different level, a higher level for the pedestrians or something, just to make it that extra obvious. And then here we have a crosswalk that we're supposed to share that doesn't have a cycling area, and that is the connection to the next cycling track, which again people don't realize is a cycling track, and they just here, and it's just not built very well. There's just too much conflict. And so yeah, that is my commute to work. I will show you an update in a few months once I perfect it and get a route that I'm happier with, but mostly it's just this bit at the end where there's a lot of conflict. I thought I would show you my setup for my commute with this Brompton. So like I said, it's the e-Brompton. And when you have the e-Brompton, you have the battery on the front where your bag normally goes. So I'm using this Frost+Seekers bag, which goes on the back, which solves the problem very nicely about not having the block on the front for your Brompton bag where it normally goes. And it's a very quick release. You just pull it out and it's fantastic. I'll have a review for you once I've used it for a while. If you haven't subscribed already, do subscribe if you want to see the update of my commute later. And if you want to see my London commute, I'll link that here for you to watch. And thank you for watching.